Hey guys, welcome back. Today on The Untidy Artist, to kick off the holiday season, we will be making a Christmas elf fairy doll, a little Santa's helper. Please check out some of my other tutorials. I have a lot of fun holiday tutorials that you can check out on my YouTube channel or on my website at untidyartist.com. You'll find some fairies and a lot of fun holiday gift ideas, so make sure you check that out. Let's grab some supplies and get started. Okay, the first thing you'll need is a fairy doll. If you are new to making fairies with me, you'll want to check out my basic fairy doll tutorial. In this video, I teach you how to take a piece of floral wire and some embroidery floss and a little wooden bead and twist it into this cute little doll. So if you've never made a fairy before, please check out that tutorial. You can see here I have my fairy already made, and I've got some green and some red embroidery floss for her clothes, and then some matching green and red flowers, and one of these I got at the dollar store. I think I got the other one at Michael's. I've got some red felt that I'll be making a hat for our little elf, and I have this really pretty little beaded trim that we'll be adding to the base of her elf hat. I've also got some red sparkly glitter because glitter is always awesome to add to everything, and I have this cute little poinsettia hollyberry kit. I actually got this at Hobby Lobby last year, and this cute little hollyberry we will be adding to our fairy. I've got some pliers, some round pliers, and some scissors. I have my glue gun set on low. I like to set my glue gun on low because it's much easier to work with the glue. And with that said, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is give our doll a red shirt. We're going to give her long sleeves. So just like you wrapped the body, I'll be putting a small dab of glue right underneath her arms there and wrapping in a even layer up to her shoulders and down both arms, giving her long sleeves, and then down to her waist. And then once we get to that part, go ahead and grab your green thread, and we're going to create a V at the top so it looks like a little vest on our little elf, and then give her some tights. So I put a small dab of glue right around her waist, and I'm going to wrap up right underneath her arms, and then I'm going to go from the bottom of one arm up and over the shoulder, creating the V, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I go from the bottom of one arm up and over the shoulder just 2 or 3 times, and then I wrap it around the middle, and then I do the same thing on the other side. And you want to make sure you're wrapping evenly. So if you wrap about 4 or 5 times on one side, make sure you're wrapping about 4 or 5 times on the other side. And then go all the way back down to her waist. I'm going to trim that little piece off, and now I'm going to give her some tights. So all the way down both of her legs. Lots of wrapping with this fairy doll. And once we have her tights on, I'm going to add a small dab of glue, finish off our green thread, and now we're going to grab our red thread again, and starting at the top of both of her legs, we're going to create some red stripes on the tights and then some red shoes. So I put a small dab of glue, and I'm going to wrap, leaving even spaces in between each wrap so it creates the look of red stripes on her green tights. And when I get to about 3/4 of an inch to an inch from the bottom, I'm going to stop wrapping the tights, and I'm going to wrap in a thick even layer down to the bottom of her foot, covering the very tip of her toe, which can be a little tricky, so just work using small dabs of glue. And I just wrap the red up and over the tip of the foot because we want the end of her shoe to be covered. You can see I'm just adding small dabs of glue and kind of working slowly on this part. And once I have the tip covered, I'm going to wrap back up to the top of her shoe, and that's where we'll be finishing off the red. So when I get back up to that part, I'm going to add a small dab of glue and trim that off. So you can see she's got her striped tights and her red shoes, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we kind of have this funny looking outfit so far. Now we're going to set that aside and grab our flowers. So I have a couple different flowers here. I liked the different textures of the different flowers, and I'm going to do a green layer and then a red layer. So I like to just play around with the flowers, layering them different ways until I get the look and the texture that I like. And I like to also hold it up to the doll to kind of see how it looks. And once I had figured out the way that I wanted them to lay, just go ahead and cut an X right into the middle of each flower so that you can slip them up and around her waist. And if you have more questions about how to do this exactly, you can go back to that basic fairy doll tutorial where I go through this part a lot slower and explain it a lot better. So I'm putting the top layer on first, and then I'm going to put the red bottom layer on. And I like to make sure that the flowers are overlapping in a way that makes the skirt look nice and fluffy. Then I'm going to go back through, I'm going to grab my glue, and I'm going to add small dabs of glue and just kind of tack her skirt together so it stays in place. And I do that in the front and then in the back. And you can see our cute little elf starting to come together. Now I'm going to style her hair. Once again, this is something that I go through in much more detail in my basic fairy doll tutorial. I am going to give her some pigtails. And this is actually a hairstyle I haven't done in a tutorial before. So I'm going to really smooth out the hair, and I'm going to put small dabs of glue on both sides and flatten the hair down. So I don't loop it up and around in the back like I normally do. I'm just going to attach it on both sides, just tacking it into place. And then you can see in the back, I'm going to part it right in the middle. I'm going to add a tiny dab of glue and just barely cover the back part of the wood so that we don't see any of the wood at the back of her head. And then I'm going to trim off all the scraggly ends from her hair and part it right in the middle in the back. And then I'm actually going to take the right side of her hair and take it underneath the left side and kind of switch them. So it creates a smooth finish in the back, and we have pigtails. Then I'm going to grab some of my green thread and wrap it around the base of the pigtail. And I wrap several layers around. So I tie it in a double knot. And then I kind of wanted a thicker layer of the green, so it popped a little bit more. So just wrapping it around a few times and then finishing it off with another double knot and doing the same thing on the other side. And I really found that this was the easiest way to do the pigtails with the doll. And then you can go back through and you can actually trim them as short as you'd like them. If you want to leave them nice and long, you can do that too. I went back through and added just a little dab of glue to tack everything into place. And once again, the key with the hair, which I always think is the hardest part, is to just work slowly. And I kind of give her a haircut, see how that looks. You can always go back and cut more, so don't get too crazy in the beginning. Just cut off a little bit. And then I grabbed my cute little holly berry, and I'm just going to add it to the base of her skirt. So right at her bodice. Then I'm going to grab my round pliers, and I'm actually going to grab the very tip of her shoe, and I'm going to curl them up because we want to have little elf boots. And this is our fairy doll so far. Then I'm going to set her aside and we're going to make a hat. So I cut out about a 1-inch square from my red felt, and from the square I trim off the corners and make that into a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I fold it into fourths just to give me kind of where the middle of the circle is. And then I'm going to cut a big piece of, almost like a big piece of pie, so about 1/3 of the circle. And then I'm going to wrap it up and around, making a cone. So by taking out some of the circle, it's not going to be as thick and bulky. So I just I wrap it up and around, creating the cone, and then I'm going to add some small dabs of glue to just tack that into place. And we have a little cone elf hat. Now I'm going to take that cute beaded trim and I'm just going to put it at the very base of her elf hat. And I kind of overlap it. Sometimes if there is a trim that has pearls, they can come undone. So I always like to make sure I add a lot of glue to the ends so that the pearls won't start to unravel. And then I'm going to put a small dab of glue right at the tip of her hat, dip it in our red glitter, because glitter. And that is it, guys. You are all set. You have Santa's helper, a fun little Christmas elf to help with the holiday season. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please post those below. I am excited for all of the fun holiday tutorials that I have coming up. Please check out some of my other videos on my YouTube channel or on my website at untidyartist.com. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. That would be amazing. Give this a big thumbs up if you liked it. And as always, thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited for the upcoming tutorials. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys next time.